What's good, everybody? CJ Williams here with the channel Life of a Video Producer. In this video, we're going to talk about working with an influencer and the things you need to be aware of as a videographer, a video producer, some questions you're going to need to ask. I got my hands on a influencer brand deal, and there's some things in there which I found to be quite normal. But there's some things in there I got some questions about, and these need to be questions that you want answers to when you're dealing with an influencer. So let's jump into it. I'm CJ Williams, and this is the life of a video producer. Again, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel. It's always my goal is to give, try to provide some information that you may not get from other people. Now I'm not the most experienced person in this game, but I'm learning things, and I know there's some other people that this can benefit from this. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if that's you. Also, be sure to share this video with your videographer friends or influencer friends and let them know, hey, we know. And influencers benefit from this as well, because this is some stuff that they need to ask questions about too, because this puts their work, their name and likeness, out there in a way that they might not be benefiting from it. So be sure to share this video with them and go ahead and like the video, and of course leave comments. I appreciate any comments, any questions you guys have. Hey, I'll read them all, I check them all. So let's jump into this. I got my hands on an influencer deal, a brand deal with this influencer. I'm not sure if I won't think that the influencers want you to see this stuff as a videographer. If I'm an influencer and I'm looking for somebody to do this stuff cheap, I'm gonna find somebody who do this cheap and don't understand all this other stuff. And the purpose of this video is to fill you in on that other stuff, at least a little bit of it. While this is just one brand, all the brands operate differently. It still gives you an idea of what these brands kind of expect and how much they're gonna try to get out of these content collaborations. So yeah, I got my hands on it, and I just wanted to go over it with you guys. Now, if you're listening on the podcast, show up better. You won't get to see this stuff, but you can listen along, and you can join us on the YouTube channel, Life of a Video Producer. Those of you who are watching right now, if you don't want to watch full video, you don't like my face, you can go listen. Show up better is the podcast. All right, so we're gonna jump into this thing now. Let me tell you how I came across this influencer. She reached out to me on Instagram. First of all, let me tell you, Instagram leads are not my best leads. I don't really like them because they tend to be the lower paying clients. Matter of fact, this is the first client I got off Instagram in like 3 years. Because most people that come through Instagram, they just don't have the budgets. Like, they're just price shoppers, in my opinion. My best leads come through, actually getting out and meeting people, word of mouth. They see me working with somebody, or they're working with the person I'm working with, then they book me to go do the stuff for them. Or the website, my website. Those are by far the best leads, because those people have a chance to kind of look at everything that I do before they reach out and call me. That just lets me know, if they fill out that form, that they're more serious. Now, this person reached out to me via Instagram. Again, normally don't like Instagram leads, but I took it. I wasn't hurting for work at the time, but I was more interested in working with an influencer to kind of get into that world, and I'm glad I did. She had a couple deals. One we did was pretty simple. This one we're going to talk about was a little bit more to it, and I only did it for a few $100s. But again, this was my way in. Plus, I don't really work with too many white people, so I kind of wanted to work with some white people. Let me get some white people on my portfolio. This is not saying anything racist, but I just want people to know that I work with white people too, because a lot of stuff I have is with black people, so with my people. So I work with white people too, Indian, all of them, Hispanic. But anyway, let's jump into this. So she sent it to me right before we got started with it, and had I known then what I know now, I probably would have asked some different questions. But again, this was my way in. So I want to go over this. We'll start out with the stuff that I think is pretty straightforward. That most brands probably ask for when they're doing these content collaboration with these influencers. And I'll say the big two is two things at the end of this that I just think you got to know about this stuff. This stuff is key. These are deal breakers. When it comes to negotiating prices and stuff or not negotiating prices, we don't negotiate anything. When it comes to telling them your price, you need to know the answer to these questions before you give them a price. And we'll get to those last. All right, so let's run through this. I'll try to put some visuals up on the screen as we go through. We'll start at the beginning. I'm gonna run through this fairly quick. Again, I'm not gonna say the brand, but this is a product that is a higher end product for that industry. They deal a lot with. They have a new product they're rolling out for. I'll say it's a game played amongst senior citizens that is highly getting growing in popularity, like a lot. Um, so yeah, that's that. But they sent my client who I was working with, the influencer. They sent her a couple of the products, and they sent her some clothes to wear for this. I'm not gonna tell you what the brand is, but just know that they do high end. That alone is enough for you to kind of gauge the price. When somebody's telling you the brand that they're working with, and they want you to shoot video for it, you got to do a little bit of research. Even while you're on the phone, look this brand up, see what they sell that product for. If it's a high end product, that means you ask for more money. If it's on the lower end, but if it's a high end product, you definitely ask for more money. Definitely. Let's take a look. This is the first page of it. Collaboration requirements. Only the brand should be mentioned in both stories, or both posts and stories. So they only want their brand mentioned, and that makes sense. And I guess this collaboration is going to consist of a reel and some stories to go along with it. All right, use copyright-free music that is approved for advertising. So that means they're going to be advertising. Paid, probably, possibly. I don't know. We'll find out. And they give you a link to Meta's sound collection, which is free music that you can use. Of course, if you're a videographer, you probably have access to a library of licensed music. So the client left it up to me in this case to just pick some music. Your unique link must be in your bio for at least 24 hours. Now, this unique link, I'm not sure if they mean some type of they provide her a link so they can track purchases and maybe she gets kickback or something like that. I don't know, but they use this a couple times here. Your unique link must be present in your bio for 24 hours. No other paid collaboration is 24 hours before or after you publish any of this content, stories or feed. And that makes sense. They don't want you working for that 2-day period. Basically, they don't want any type of paid collaborations you got with anybody else. They don't want that within a 2-day period. So 24 hours before, 24 hours after, they don't want to see it. And I get that too. I think that's reasonable. New image in the feed may not be published within 4 hours. So after you publish the stuff that they're paying you to post, after you post that, don't post anything else for 4 hours. They understand that that next thing you post could, it could affect the reach of that collaboration. So they don't want you posting anything for 4 hours, which makes sense to me. I think we all know somebody who posts so much. And I know somebody who posts like every few hours. Like, man, it's like, why are you posting so much? Like, you got to give people a chance to look at this other stuff before you start posting this. Like, you're doing too much. So I get that. Don't post anything within 4 hours. Let it breathe a little bit. Let the algorithms work and do their thing. All right. Collaboration may not be removed or archived within 3 months. So 90 days, this thing needs to stay present on your feed. People need to be able to see it. And of course, you have to leave your Instagram profile open. I had to have an open Instagram during the campaign. So don't, make it private or anything like that, of course. The goal is to get as many eyes on it as they can get. So leave it open. So that stuff is pretty straightforward. Let's go to page 2 and look at this stuff. Now, this one has a lot of the stuff I'm going to skip over for right now, but we can look at some other stuff. All right, let's talk about submitting your content. Original format. They want to draft the images, video from the feed and story, upload it in the original format without text, music, Instagram logo filter. So don't give them something that you already posted somewhere else and download it to your phone. They got the Instagram logo on it or any type of filter. Like, they want it straight from your computer, straight from the editor's computer, original format. And if you do not upload all content in original format, we reserve the right not to pay the full fee for the collaboration. And then it talks about the products that they sent over to her or to whoever, the influencer. All right, content requirements: 1 reel to be published in the feed. They got to tag the brand. They want you to show the product clearly, wear the clothes. Okay, pretty straightforward. Again, we're going to come back to this one. All right, so let's go to page 3. Again, a lot of this stuff, it might be some stuff that is common across all the brands, major brands. Some of this stuff might be unique to this brand. They might have the same stuff, they just call it something different terminology for their stuff. So Yeah, again, this is for this one. I'm not gonna say all of them I like this. I can't. That would be irresponsible for me to say that. All right, so let's go to third page. Talks about stories. At least 3 stories. So along with that main feed or reel, they want 3 stories. All the stories must be unique content. You can't reuse anything you use in your main reel. No footage, no content. Requirement, they want video. The story should be published in connection with the publication of feed. Use that unique link, which I'm not sure if that's something they provide for you or something. I'm pretty sure it's something they provide. They kind of want to track maybe the clicks and all that stuff. Use your unique link decal in all stories with a clear call to action. So you do that sticker with the link. I think that's what they're. And then of course tag the brand. Boom, 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 boom. All right, cool. That talks about some other stuff. All right, so that stuff is pretty straightforward. I think they want to post a regular reel, then they want 3 stories. Don't use anything from the original, reel from the main post in your stories. Don't post anything 4 hours after you post this collaboration. No other paid collaborations for a 2-day period. 24 hours before, 24 hours after. No other paid promotions. Only tag this brand. No other brands. I get that stuff. Pretty straightforward, right? Now let's get into this other stuff. The stuff that I have questions about. The stuff that you should have questions about. You should definitely ask the questions about this, right? So this brand deal, they're calling this. Again, all brands are different. So they might call it something totally different, but it still means the same thing for other brands. Or they might not have this. And here's something. The influencer is savvy. We call it savvy. And they booking a videographer. Some of this stuff they might not tell you about. So it's going to be up to you. And it's up to you to either ask the questions to let them know that you know. Hey, I know better now. You ain't going to try to get over on me. Asking them this stuff straight up. Or price your stuff assuming that that stuff is going to be in place, because in most cases it probably will be the case. Price it. You can avoid these questions and just price and let them know, hey, I know that this is what happens with these collaborations. I know what happens with these. I know what they're going to do with this content. I know the possibilities. So this is the price. So your choice, but it needs to be addressed. All right, so republishing rights is what they call it. Republishing rights. The brand has the right to republish your campaign material on their own social media platforms, website, and newsletter. This applies indefinitely. What does this mean? That means they could take that original, you know how they wanted to send you to send them the original copy, the original files. That means they could take that and put it on their other social media platforms. Yeah, we did this collaboration on Instagram. They might take it to TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, or all these other platforms, Twitter, their website. So social media platforms, their website. If they're a big brand, if they're paying for paid ads, that's a lot of people going to their website to see this. And newsletter, so they can pumping this stuff out, blasting email blasts with this stuff, with this content. And it says this applies indefinitely. So we talking about 2, 5, 10 years from now, they could still be using this content. Meanwhile, you got paid for it one time. And because if you don't ask this question about this, you probably got a measly few $100s to do this. Meanwhile, they about to take this, they're going to use it on their other social media platforms, their website, newsletters, indefinitely. That means 5 years from now, they could be still using that content. And you're not the only one that they taking with this. Like, the influencer is probably going to catch the short end with this as well. Their name, image, likeness, all that stuff is being used, indefinitely to generate revenue. Y'all got the short end, they get the long end. They're going to use this. If they're imagine them running Google ads to their website. They're running all types of promotions and all this stuff. And that your content that you created is getting millions and millions of views and generating millions of dollars for this company. This is something that you have to be worried about. You should be concerned about, as well as the influencer. Just want to be clear, like the influencer, if they don't know better, they can be taken for this stuff too. Let's get to the other one. Sponsorship rights. This is what this brand calls it. Other brands might call it something else, but it might mean similar things. Sponsorship right. The brand may use your material in paid digital advertising for a period of 3-month length, starting to count in a maximum of 2 weeks after the end of the campaign period. Let me say that again. The brand may use your material in paid digital advertising for a period of 3 months length, starting to count on a maximum of 2 weeks after the end of the campaign period. So the campaign period, remember, is 90 days. They want you to keep this posted, don't archive it, don't delete it, don't remove it for 90 days. But after that, they're saying they have up to 2 weeks to decide if they're going to run ads with it. If they're going to run ads to generate more revenue. So they're using it beyond that. They're going to pay to run ads with the content you created to generate more revenue. Now, I haven't talked much about usage on my channel, but it's becoming something more important part of the conversation I have with my clients. Like, how do you plan to use this content? We shoot this content, we shoot these photos or whatever, we create this artwork for you to use on social media. When you start running ads with it, that changes the game, that changes the price. You got this in publications, that changes the price. You using this podcast or this interviews for streaming platforms, that changes things. You got this plastered on billboards in the middle of town, changes things. You got this up in Times Square, that changes things. The price changes. So shooting something like this and it's just going to be on Instagram or whatever, that's one thing. But knowing that they're going to pay ads, that's another thing. And this is something you got to know as a videographer, somebody who creates this type of content. Again, the influencers should know it too. And if they know it and you don't, you could be getting the short end. They could take you for a ride with this. Again, the brand could be taking them for a ride. So both of y'all really gotta know. And it's okay. You may want to avoid asking these questions and just assume that they are going to use this stuff for paid ads and they're going to use it for their website and newsletter. So you charge accordingly. Or you may want to just ask them, hey, look, what's the plan? Do they plan on using this for paid ads? Yes or no? If no, if you come across that in a paid ad, you better take action. You better be ready to take action. Also, are they going to use this on a newsletter, website, or the social media platforms? Find out. Get to the answer. All right. So I think these would be really good. I don't think people take what we do for. People don't give a lot of credit a lot of times for what we do. If you have to know the power of this content more so than your client does. If you don't know it, they know more than you, like, they're going to take advantage of you. So you got to know this stuff. Ask these questions. Don't be afraid. And it might be okay to pass up a few $100s, if they're not willing to pay you a few thousand. They going to pay you a few $100. They're going to make a few million off this. Nah, that ain't a good, nah. You don't need a few thousand. Anytime an influencer approach you, be ready to ask them some questions like this. Yes, we want to know how many reels, how many stories they expecting and all that stuff. What's the overall theme of this? What are we doing here? But these are more important questions. What's going to happen with this content, a year from now? Who still has the rights to this? How are they planning on using it? You got to know this stuff. Again, my goal is only to help you guys. I realize when you're in the beginning of this might be stuff that you're not concerned with. But as you start advancing with more clients and seeing different ways that they use their content, you're going to need to know this stuff. Again, thank you guys for listening. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe. Life of a Video Producer. If you're listening to the podcast, be sure to subscribe. Check us out again. Head over to the YouTube channel. Life of a Video Producer. Like, share, comment on this content. Again, this is something it can help not just the videographer, but the influencer as well, because they need to know this stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of influencers out there getting taken, and they generate millions of dollars for these brands and they don't even know it. You mess around, see your content on TV, and you're like, well, that we didn't talk about that. Well, because you didn't talk about it is the reason why they're doing this. All right, so I don't want that to be you. It's definitely not going to be me. I'm CJ Williams, and this is the Life of a Video Producer.